Hello everybody, so this is our first lecture concerning the course Introduction to Linguistics, in which we are going to talk about the origins of language. As you can see on your PowerPoint file, we will make an introduction to this lecture. We'll speak about the divine source, that means we'll speak about that later, the natural sound source, the physical adaptation source, teeth, lips, mouth, larynx and pharynx and their use in the production of language, the human brain and the genetic source. Well, as an introduction to this lecture, we will start by what may seem as a conclusion, and we will say that we simply don't know how language originated. Okay, all we know about the origin of language is a kind of speculations. We suspect that some type of spoken language developed between 100,000 and 50,000 years ago, well before the written language about 5,000 years ago. That means the spoken language, okay, started so much before, okay, the written language, and we don't have any physical evidence to the origin of language. We don't have any concrete, okay, evidence or proof to the origin of language. All that we are going to talk about are, as you can see, are mere speculations. Okay, so the first theory or the first speculation is maybe called the divine source. Divine has a relation with religion. And in most religions, there appears to be a divine source who provides humans with language. Okay, so in most of religions, the creator, or what we in some religions it is called God. In Islam, it is Allah. Okay, people think that God or the creator or this divine source provided people with language. In it, some people tried to find what was the first or the origin, okay, the original language. What were the first people, okay, speaking? And as an attempt to discover this, some people have had conducted some experiments to find out the origin of language. But the results were more or less conflicting, contradictory. Okay, so those people who conducted these experiments thought that if human infants were allowed to grow up without hearing any language around them, then they would spontaneously begin using the original God-given language. That means if you isolate children, okay, aside from the social community, okay, that means that you put them aside, far from, okay, the people, the society, they would start speaking what may be called, okay, the original God-given language. Two famous experiments of such were conducted by, first one was conducted by the Egyptian pharaoh named Psammetichus, okay, and he isolated children, okay, with animals, okay, and a deaf shepherd, and children later were said to utter, to produce the word Bacchus, or the sound Bacchus, okay, which means bread, in the Phrygian language. And the Phrygian language is an old language, okay, used to be spoken in an area which is like the modern Turkey. Okay, so that pharaoh, okay, said that the Phrygian language must be the God-given language, the original language. As the same experiment was conducted by King James IV of Scotland. But in this case, children were reported to have spoken Hebrew, العبرية. Okay? So these two experiments show us that the results of these two experiments show us that it is more or less, okay, contradictory. There is a contradiction about the origin of language. In all other cases of children who have been discovered, it's not by experiments, no, naturally discovered, living in isolation. Those children were living in isolation without coming into contact with human speech, tend not to confirm the results of these types of divine source experiments, because very young children living without access to human language in their early years grow up with no language at all. That means if you isolate children while they are infants, while they are babies, and they have no contact with language in society, we will discover in the coming chapters that these people, these infants, okay, have acquired, have learned no language. They speak no language. They produce voices, sounds, but not really what the language we speak in our society. So other theories try to find out the origin of language, adopting what was called, or what is called, the Bow Wow theory. The Bow Wow theory says that sometimes it is called the Wow Wow theory or the Bow Wow theory, and this says that people started speaking by imitating sounds in nature. Primitive words could have been initiations of the natural sounds. This type of view has been called the Bow Wow's theory of language origin. It is true that a number of words in any language are onomatopoeic. That means echoing natural sounds, imitating the sounds human beings hear in nature. For example, so the sounds produced by a dog, okay, sounds produced by a dog, we call bark, because it is close to this word, bark. So the sound produced by dogs is called to bark, for example, in English, okay? It's close to it, just to imitate this sound. It is hard to see how most of the soundless as well as abstract things in our world could have been referred to in a language that simply echoed natural sounds. So the question is, if the language originated from an imitation, okay, of the natural sounds, so what about things that do not have sounds? For example, if I am speaking about a book, the book has no sound, okay? So how would we name such a thing or speak about such a thing if we don't have a sound? And other abstract ideas, for example, freedom, God, angels, okay, heaven, hell, all these things that doesn't really exist in our physical life, how would we name it, speak about it, talk about it if they do not produce sounds? So the problem is still, okay, to be asked about concerning this theory. Another theory related to the natural sound source is the natural cries of emotion theory. Other people tend to say that the language originated starting from the emotions, okay, or the natural cries of emotions. So if you feel pain, okay, so you will produce certain sounds. If you feel anger, you will produce certain sounds. And if you feel happy as well, the sounds will be different. For example, what is called interjections, such as oh, wow. These interjections, or yak, okay, are usually produced with sudden intakes of breath. It means in order to produce these sounds, you need to take a breath, inhale. Okay, so which is opposite to the ordinary talk. In our way of talking, producing language, we normally produce language on exhaled breath. We take a breath, then in order to speak we need to take the air from our lungs out. Okay, so that's how we produce language. So this theory, okay, this theory, the natural cries theory, okay, failed to prove how to how language was originated, okay, based only on the natural cries of emotions. The other natural sound source is what is called yo, he, ho theory. It is called so because they speak about physical effort, okay, and when there is a physical effort, people most of the times produce sounds, okay, and they think these sounds produced because of the physical effort can be the source of our language, especially when the physical effort involved several people and had to be coordinated. To explain this, for example, our ancestors or first human beings, in order to carry out a heavy thing, need to coordinate their effort. So like we will if we are going to do that now, we will say, okay, we lift the desk at 3. So we will say 1, 2, 3, and so all together we do that sound. At that time, maybe they think that old people or original people used to make sounds, okay, in order to organize, to coordinate that work. Okay, for example, you, he, ho. That means 1, 2, 3. At home, they will lift the heavy thing. The appeal of this theory is that it places the development of human language in some social context. This is a positive aspect about this theory. It places the language in a social context, not individual like the two previous theories, but here the language appeared as in social community. But it does not, however, answer our question regarding the origins of the sounds produced. Okay? So the failure of the natural sound source theories, okay, pushed other people to think about other aspects of language, which is the physical adaptation source. Well, the people who think in this theory says, instead of looking at the types of sounds, okay, as the source of human speech, we can look at the type of physical features humans possess. Instead of looking at, instead of trying to find the original sounds, why don't we think about the physical features that human beings have and other creatures don't have, and which may be able to support speech production? Do we have things, okay, physically speaking, do we have things that are different from other creatures? For example, animals. Animals do not speak our a language like ours, okay? So what makes us special, physically special, okay, in order to be able to produce this language? We can start with the observation that at some early stage, our ancestors made a very significant transition on to an upright posture with bipedal. It means walking on 2 feet, locomotion, and a revised role for the front limbs. So people who believe in the development and in the evolution of a human species, okay, think that human beings used to walk like animals on 4 legs, okay, but later at a certain age the human beings moved to a position of upright posture. They stood on their feet, okay, and they started to use the hands for other activities than moving. Some effects of this type of change can be seen in physical differences between the skull of a gorilla and that of a Neanderthal man from around 60,000 years ago. So the difference is very clear. The picture on the right of the screen is an imaginary picture, of course, of one of the ancestors of the human beings, the present human beings, what is called Neanderthal man, okay? And on the left side of the screen you can see the skeleton of a modern human compared to Neanderthal man. The skeleton of the modern human compared to Neanderthal man. Neanderthal man is on the right and the modern man on the left, and the modern man is on the right, okay? So there is a great difference, but still these changes, the upright posture caused a lot of physical change. Comparing, if we start to compare the physical aspects of the ancestors, okay, of the human beings to a gorilla, we'll see that there are so many differences, okay, especially concerning the organs that have a great part in the speech production, okay? So as a part related to this theory, to the physical adaptation theory, okay, so we will speak about some organs that are closely related to the production of speech, which are teeth, lips, mouth, larynx, and pharynx, okay? Well, looking at these organs, we will see that the teeth, or the human teeth, are upright, not slanting outwards like those of the apes. Upright means, okay, they are straight. It's not like the animals, most of the apes, they are slanting outwards, okay? And they are roughly even in height, and they are equal. While with other animals we will find some teeth longer or higher than others, okay? These characteristics of the teeth, of the human teeth, okay, are also very helpful in making sounds like f and v. Concerning the human lips, what makes it different from those of animals? The human lips are much more flexible, okay? They can move they can make very fast movements, okay, than those of other primates. This helps in making sounds like p and b. And concerning the mouth itself, okay, compared to other primates, it is more or less smaller. It can be opened and closed rapidly, and contains a smaller, thicker, and more muscular tongue, which can be used to shape a wide variety of sounds inside the oral cavity. So the mouth, the characteristics of the mouth, with the help of the tongue, with its characteristics, can help us produce different sounds, opposite to the mouth and the tongue of the other animals, especially the apes. Well, concerning the larynx, or the human larynx, or what is called the voice box, and the voice box is the name is another name of the word larynx, and this voice box contains the vocal cords. It means that the vocal cords are in the voice box, or in the larynx. They differ the voice box or the larynx differs significantly in position from the larynx of other primates such as monkeys. Okay, so the larynx, the human larynx are more or less in this part, what we call Adam apple. Okay, they are like here. While with other primates, okay, they used to be very low here. Okay, the larynx of other monkeys. And if you read the part concerning the larynx in your book, okay, you will find that this position of the larynx helped very much to produce different sounds in our language. Okay, but still it causes it may cause a problem of being suffocated. Okay. Another element that is a crucial element in the production of language is the pharynx, which is above the vocal cords. So as we said, the larynx are here. Inside the larynx there are the vocal cords. Okay. Above them there is the pharynx. Okay. The pharynx are at just next to the root of the tongue. Okay, not the end of the tongue, the back part of the tongue. No, the root of the tongue. So the root of the tongue, let's say it's here, the pharynx will be here. Okay, above this what we call the Adam's apple. Okay, there must have been a big advantage in getting this extra vocal power. Large range of sound distinction. So the difference between human beings and animals concerning these 5 elements, we mentioned the teeth, the lips, the mouth, the larynx and the pharynx, helped the human beings produce language. Okay? To outweigh the potential disadvantage from an increased risk of choking to death. But still, we have the problem of choking because the organs related to the production of language and the organs related for vital elements to eat, they became very close to each other. Okay? And this may be considered as a disadvantage of this development in our human beings. All right, so, but still, okay, the question about the origin of language is not solved. Okay, still, it's true that the physical difference between human beings and animals is clear, and that human beings have some characteristics that make them in advance compared to animals, but still there is something very, very important and makes the human beings special to produce special creatures to produce language, which is the brain. The human brain controls all the complex physical parts used for sound production. So it's true that the physical part is very important, but we need an element, okay, that controls all these physical aspects, which is the brain. What can we say about the brain, the human brain? The human brain is lateralized. What is meant by lateralized? Lateralized means it is like divided into 2 parts. Okay, that is, it has specialized functions in each of the 2 hemispheres. Hemispheres means 2 parts, left side and right side and left side. Okay, those functions that control motor movements, to take, to put, okay, involved in things like speaking and object manipulation. If I, for example, book, okay, so I will take the book and pronounce the word book. Making or using tools are largely confined to the left hemisphere of the brain for most humans, because some people have this function reversed. They have it on the right hemisphere, but as in general, most of the people these actions, okay, or these functions are controlled by the left hemisphere of the brain. And we will prove this in the coming chapters. How can we prove this? Okay, because as a very quick example, so studying the people who suffered from head trauma, and the injury is on the left side of their head, many people lost control of using the language. And this proves that the left side of our brain, or left hemisphere of our brain, controls the speaking or the language aspect. Okay. Well, in terms of language structure, the human may have first developed a naming ability by producing specific and consistent noise. Speaking about speaking about the production of language. Let's say that people started producing noises. Book, or like it is on your screen and on this slide, the noise or the sound pen, mentioning the pen, okay, for a specific object. The crucial additional step was to bring another specific noise. It means blue. Okay, so speaking about pen, blue. How can the person combine these two things, or these two sounds? Okay, so for a moment they will say pen, blue. Several thousand years of evolution later, humans were able to produce this pen is blue. So this process of combining sounds is controlled by our brain. Okay. Other people went further in order to look for the origin of language. Okay. So they say that the physical changes of human beings can be compared to the physical changes of babies. Comparing a baby to our ancestors, this almost automatic set of development and the complexity of the young child's language have led some scholars to look for something more powerful than small physical adaptations of the species over time at the source of language. It means looking at the baby, okay, they thought, looking at the babies who grow in a social community and they learn the language, but infants or babies who grow up in isolation of the social community, they do not acquire language. This seems to indicate that human descendants are born with special capacity for language. Okay, so it is innate in us. We have something special in our genes, okay, that help us produce language. For example, but if we do not raise this gene in a very social, very special social context, we will not be able to produce any language. So the language is innate in us. No other creature seems to have it. And this gene, okay, which is responsible for the production of language, is special to human beings. No other creatures have it. Because if they have it, why don't the animals that are raised in our houses, for example, if we raise a cat or a dog, since it is a baby dog or a baby cat, why don't they acquire, why don't they learn the language we speak? They still produce the same sounds and the same voices that their ancestors do. This innateness hypothesis would seem to point to something in human genetics. It means we have a language gene, okay, and that language gene is special to human beings. Okay, so this is the end of our first course. Thank you very much, and talk to you in the next lecture. Assalamu alaikum.